Happy 2026. In this video, I'm going to give you some Akashic Records spiritual themes for 2026. And this is about guidance and spiritual guidance and not predictions. So really take what resonates with you, leave the rest. If you're new to my channel, I'm Anika Ray. I'm an Akashic Records certified professional, instructor, teacher. I'm also a reader. I've been working in the records for the past over like 13 years, since 2012 now. And I really love the work. I love that it helps so many, including myself. If you're new to the Akashic Records, then I highly recommend you following my channel, or even just going on the internet and doing a little more research about what they are. But I'm going to tell you that the Akashic Records are this giant library, like infinite library of the soul. They contain the entire journey of the soul, past, present, and future. There are human records, right, for us. And you can read for yourself other people and also non-human records. And if you want to learn more about how to access and read your own records, I will leave the links in the description. Now, full disclosure, I am already in my own Akashic Records. Although these are collective messages, because we are connected in consciousness, it really works. And one of the first messages, I want to just put the general message out there that's coming from the records is, if you're wondering, and a lot of us maybe, if you're on the right path, not just spiritually, but as a human, because a lot of times we do this evaluation, we kind of look in the rearview mirror, depending on where you are with age and where you are in growth. And a lot of times we compare, we kind of analyze, and the records want to really assure you and the beings that are in the records that you are on the right path, that one path does not fit all. One of the biggest things that I'm picking up from the Akashic Records is that you as a soul and as a being are unique. You chose this person, you yourself, right, as the best expression for your soul. So there is already uniqueness built within you. Yes, there is also this oneness with the divine, oneness with all creation and everyone else. There is this interconnectedness, but this interconnectedness is really for you. It is for you to explore and find your own soul's perfection through human conditions, and to really find that love and compassion for yourself. So this first theme is going to kind of tie into this message that's coming through, and that is deepening the relationship with self, right? Really understanding your human identity as an extension of your soul identity, and how they're really intertwined, and how they really help each other, how they support each other, that the soul has obviously chosen you for a reason. And if you want to go dive deeper as to why, what's coming from the records, and I'm not trying to sell you, is to do your own work in your own records. There is a zone in the records called the zone of choice, where you can not go with a practitioner, but you got to do it by yourself. And I only recommend you doing it when you actually learn how to read and access the records. I teach this in my advanced classes. And so, point being is, even in a regular life, recognize where this inner, when I say soul identity, what's coming through the records is this, almost like that consciousness, right? The energy, the essence of who you are, your soul story over lifetimes, how that really fits perfectly with who you are in this lifetime. And not to boost your ego, just so that you can find deeper levels of acceptance for who you are, and deeper levels of self-love, not just through self-nurturing, but that, as I'm mentioning, deep self-acceptance. So this is the first theme, right? Deepening a relationship with self, connecting it to your soul identity in a way that you find more acceptance and more compassion for yourself, this ties into theme number 2, and that is emotional healing. So if you are led to this emotional healing, emotions are a very complex thing. This is what's coming from the records. A lot of, right, ourselves, when it comes to us, right, we can either be like labeled as like super sensitive, right, empathic. And the records is saying basically like if you can avoid the labels and really just understand the emotions, communicate the stage you are currently in. So yeah, absolutely. If you are feeling down, you're gonna feel the emotions of sadness, of hopelessness. It also really resonates with your vibration. It is time to really not judge ourselves for our emotional sensitivity, or the other kind of side of the coin is suppression of the emotions. To learn how to manage our emotions in a healthy way where we acknowledge the emotion, but we're not judging it. We're not trying to get rid of it. We're not trying to like send it away. It is more about, again, acceptance of the emotion, communicating something to you, your state of being, and really gently taking care of that. And for a lot of you, it may lead you into deeper emotional healing. Maybe it is about talking it through with someone, or perhaps it is about journaling, or it is just about acknowledgement, and that's enough. Like, I'm having a bad day. Or if it's prolonged and there's something deeper, then kind of really find a way to sort of like deal with that in a different way, unique way. Which brings us also to theme number 3 and 4. And then we're going to actually do some questions as well. So this will be an interesting video. So another theme besides this emotional healing, what's really showing up is if you are drawn to do some deeper inner work. The work, when I say work, I really don't really like using this word because it means like laboring. And what's coming from the records is this transformational quality. So if it's guiding you to deeper transformation, transmutation even, and when I say transmutation, what they mean by it is not rewriting or erasing anything, but again, acknowledgement, acceptance, appreciation. It may lead you to those karmic patterns that we all think they're pesky little things, but they're really not. Karmic patterns have served you in the past. They have started for a reason. They were an answer to a problem, and now they're not. They're showing up as a problem for you, as a challenge. Just to give you my own example, if I may, and they're permitting me to do so, I'm fully transparent. I've had an issue with sugar. It's been a solution to a problem for me, even in childhood, because my parents got divorced. My dad was diagnosed with mental illness, and as a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, I didn't know how to deal with that. I actually stopped eating because I was fully depressed and nobody really wanted to acknowledge that or didn't know how. Really, no judgment here. But the only thing that comforted me, which sugar it's kind of like hits you with this oxytocin and dopamine. I knew nothing about that as a child. I just knew it was my friend. Whenever I would eat a piece of candy, that's the only thing that was drawn to eating pretty much, is because it made me feel better. And so it was comforting me for a long time with, remember I said managing emotions? That was my emotional default response. Like people do binge eating, I was like going towards sugar, and it's not like I was binging on it. It's like a little hit of there, a little hit of there. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still dealing with this. So this also originated for me way back when in a past life, where I saw myself in the records where sugar was like this super exclusive luxury item, and I didn't have access to it because I was a servant. But when there were like little scraps from my masters, right, I tried it and I was like addicted to it. Like it was like a drug to me. And then another lifetime, it kind of transferred into that again, where I indulged it with when I was like this male barren in France where I saw myself eating almost like Marie Antoinette kind of era, give them cake. So I was eating all these cookies and cakes because it was the right thing to do, right? I was living that Bridgerton, high court kind of life. However, fast forward into this lifetime, now I'm having problems as an adult, borderline diabetic, right? Like issues with weight, unhealthiness, and I'm, still dealing with it. Did I completely eliminate sugar? Not, but I'm eating healthier. I'm trying to replace it with like fruit more. I'm sort of like trying to eat less of it. And do I still go and eat a piece of cake on somebody's birthday? Yes, guilty as charged. But the reason why I digress into this story is because what's coming from the records is that not to blame yourself for this pattern. If you've noticed something that you've been dealing with, right, from childhood, something that like it's ancestral, like all of your, families dealing with this, maybe like in my case, it's not really sugar, but it does have a lot to do with unhealthiness. And so if you notice that and it's guiding you to heal this, again, understand and have that awareness first. Okay, so this is what it is. Accept that it's just served you on some level. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it. And if it started in the past lives, really address it. And that's what the record is bringing to. It's like a gentle way of transmuting and healing, opposed to like, I have to get rid of this. It's not healthy for my personal growth. And the more you judge it, what's coming from the records, it keeps you stuck and pull back. And the reason why we're being pulled back to these karmic patterns is because there's a depth to it, right? Like we can come back to it, because, honestly, it is not so much about, right, judgment, where we are pushing ourselves. It's more about, is it helping me now? Like, am I still working on this? Is it rooted in some other things? Is it impacting other areas of my life? So that's really the karmic patterns. And I will leave you with one final thing, which is kind of like a good positive note. And it's talking about uniqueness and authenticity. And I know if you are watching, if you are younger, I'm in that millennial, like I'm an early millennial kind of Gen Xer, even though maybe you can't tell, but it's okay if you can't. That's awesome. But I resonate a lot with the millennials, and that's really like what my gen, but I notice like Gen Z or even Gen Alpha, and it kind of are following this like trends, a lot of trends. And what's coming through in the Akashic Records, it really is about uniqueness. And I know people have started to notice like that authenticity it's always been really a major thing for spirituality, but also this is about authenticity of who you are as a human. Again, remember the story about connecting your soul identity and a human identity. Now it is about really that uniqueness in spirituality and approaching it from a perspective of, I've learned a lot. If you have worked on yourself, or even if you're new, really try to be unique in your approach. It's not about rigidity. I think we're moving from that rigidity into fluidity and more of this flowiness and more about freedom, and really kind of pushing the boundaries of freedom for your personal self. So where you feel that freedom of uniqueness, of authenticity, it is about finding what really works for you, bringing in this guidance and the tools and everything, but kind of packaging them in a way that works for you in a human way and in also spiritually. So, maybe it'll be more variety for you, right? Like if your uniqueness is about sort of like packaging this and more authenticity, you find in variety and bringing in these different spiritual tools and kind of mixing them, creating your own programs or just for yourself, by all means do it. I feel like at this point, this is what's really being called into reality. This is at least what's coming from the records. There's nothing wrong with discipline, and there's nothing wrong with you following certain courses and mastery and all of that, but I'm feeling more what's coming from the records is if this is authentically you, if this is really unique to you, then follow that. But if it's you forcing it and sort of like kind of getting stuck in that, it doesn't give you that freedom, then definitely so like really allow yourself the freedom. This may mean that you kind of play with these boundaries a little bit, get yourself out of the comfort zone as well. Okay, so these were some major themes that I'm picking up from the Akashic Records. Now, again, take them as guidance, not as some sort of like, like letter or dogmatic thing. And now I'm gonna like really dive deeper into some of the questions here that I have that could be useful to you as you kind of go through these themes, and maybe it'll help you. And the first question we're gonna cover is, what karmic lessons or cycles can I resolve? Like, now we mentioned these patterns, maybe there's something that the records will pinpoint. The first thing, again, I'm getting the self-acceptance. So where there is this lack of self-acceptance, this is the karmic pattern that could be ancestral for some of you, collective for others of you, right? Or it could be very personal. Where there is rejection of self, there is this wounding and like disconnect from the innermost self or higher self. And this innermost self, remember that connection with the soul. The innermost self, when I say innermost self, I mean that higher divine self, that expression of you that resonates with oneness, with perfection, with uniqueness, with who you truly are, where there's no lack or separation. It wants to get closer to you. And so if there's some things about you that are ready for you, that are kind of bothering you and kind of making you reject yourself in some way, finding ways to get to that self-acceptance. And for a lot of you, it'll be different approaches. So I'm not going to go dive deeper into what these approaches are, because this can go on, but I can tell you whatever that works. For some, it could be affirmations they're saying that could be very helpful, but healthy affirmations, not something that's not really authentic again. For some of you, could be communication with your guides and angels that guide you into the space of self-acceptance. It could be more like energy or breath work. So just really play with this, but remember the self-acceptance. Number 2 is, how can I integrate gently my past experience into the wisdom, which is something, again, connected to authenticity and uniqueness. The one thing that's really coming from the records is to look at your experiences as just that. They were experiences, and if there was some wisdom that came through these experiences, that definitely you will know how to incorporate that wisdom, because it's already going to be a part of yourself. You're already going to do it organically. For example, if you've been working on something that has been triggering for you in the past, let's say, like sensitivity or something, and judgment from people, like I've been working on that. Like I get really sensitive even though I don't show it, but when somebody tells me something, like it hurts. I'm a human being, right? Like if, originally when I was a child, it was catastrophic for me because I'm a people pleaser and it comes from the abandonment wound, and I do want to be accepted and loved. But at some point it stopped being triggering. So it's almost like I worked on myself where I don't need that external validation, and it's now organically showing up. And I'm just giving examples because they're sort of like prompting me to give you that. So if there's something for you that's been triggering, use this example. Like it's gonna just come down to more awareness, and you're just gonna know it's gonna show up in your life organically. How can I align more with the relationships that are for my highest good? Now, all of these themes that we've been talking about can affect relationships, and really think of where you are at this point in your life. This is what's coming through the records. Like the highest good is really I don't know why this video is sounding very like really youthful, guys, but the words that are coming from the records are like overhyped. So the highest good may have been overhyped for us. Thank you, light beings, for using the word. It's making me laugh. But listen, it's been a little bit overhyped. We're always talking about this higher good. I'm also guilty. A lot of times the guides, what's coming from the records, wants you to really acknowledge this highest good. It means, is this really giving me energy? Is it helpful to me? Is it useful to me? Is it also serving me? Is it serving other people? So the relationships will really evolve this year, because you're naturally going to vibrate kind of towards very, maybe even unique people. Maybe there are going to be some people that just organically you're just not going to be attracted to energetically, point blank. And it's not like for your highest good, it's going to be just where the energy is really going, right? Like if it's really guiding you and you feel good energetically around some people, that's the way to go, right? Energy speaks volume. That's what's coming from the records. And really just pay attention to your energy. Do you feel drained? The usual story. Do you feel drained? Do you feel uplifted? Is this person really like helping you grow? Are you helping them grow? Is it working on a human level too? So it's going to be really up to you, but definitely relationships will be a central thing, but also it's going to stem from the relationship with yourself, and that's really what they're bringing me to. Question number 4, as far as the emotions, where have I been carrying emotions that I no longer need to really carry? And a lot what they're pointing me to is this heart space. So these are the emotions that some of you have been carrying from childhood. Again, it has something to do with not accepting or loving yourself, certain parts of yourself. And I know, because we're all like I'm carrying certain things from childhood that I'm still really addressing: abandonment wounds, insecurities. Listen, I have been dealing with this since childhood, but what the record's really saying, again, it is about acknowledging these emotions, acknowledging that, they're communicating something for you, to you. And if they're not really like clear as to what they're communicating, they're saying, ask your guides to really help you understand what's behind these emotions that you've been carrying that you no longer want to carry. For a lot of you, you may even have symptoms related to something around heart, like blood pressure, circulation, that's kind of affecting, because these emotions are sort of communicating something to you. And again, it is not about just like releasing them. It's about addressing them in a way that you just know where this is coming from. And you can accept that you're feeling this way. And wherever you need to go afterwards, ask your guides and they'll gently guide you to the next step. Don't feel bad that you're actually feeling this way. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling pressure, even though in spirituality, they keep telling you to put the brave face on, right? Positivity. You don't have to be positive all the times to be spiritual. This is what's coming from the records. So it's not that I'm Zen, I'm spiritual, I'm doing, I'm doing a cleanse and therefore I'm going to be all better. No, sometimes it takes time to address this. And it's just about really acknowledging that one thing doesn't fit all, and that emotions are communicating your state of being. Okay, so ask your guides, acknowledge the emotion, take the next step where they're guiding you to. We have a couple of more questions. What emotional patterns am I really ready to release? Now, just take this as a general thing. We just talked about it. A lot of it is around heart chakra. A lot of it's already mentioned, but I have these questions really written down from my clients, myself. And so what emotional patterns is really any pattern that is sort of screaming this alienation from self, the further you are away from self. It also is pointing me to some inner child work where maybe you have been treated harshly, or maybe you picked up from childhood some patterns of undeserving, of unworthiness. And I know you've heard this millions of times, but I just have to acknowledge what's in the records and just like take this as the emotional patterns that have sort of like showed you where there is lack and limitation. And it's okay, because you're only human, and lack and limitation are a part of your humanness, a part of your humanity and human condition. But honestly, like, you know, to really pinpoint is where this lack of self-acceptance is. Seems to be like a big topic here. How you're going to find these emotional patterns? Inner work. They're really pointing you to inner reflection, meditation, but they don't want this to be laboring. They want this to just like genuinely, the spiritual work is moving. This is what's coming from the records, from this heavy approach to kind of lightness, right? Like lightness of the approach. It doesn't mean we are not taking this seriously. It just means you got the emotional patterns. It doesn't mean you got to take 10 courses to get to the bottom of this. Gently approach it. Perhaps this is something that, you know, just think of the next step. You don't have to like think of like, what is it that I need to do to just get rid of this out of my life? Just what's coming from the records. Think of that next gentle step you can take once these emotional patterns show up from previously what we talked about, like the emotions. Like if the emotions are repetitive and they have a certain theme and they're kind of talking about the same thing, like a lack of self-acceptance, then just go with that. Take the next gentle step. Allow the guides to guide you to that step. Final question. What does this authenticity look like for most of us? Is there any guidance around this authenticity? Because I know I want to be more authentic in myself. And this is when I just said myself in the records right away, they're like, yourself, right? Like just really being comfortable in your own energy, in your own skin, who you are, how you express yourself. Like if you're a serious, wise person, they're saying, be that. If you are this girly girl, butterfly, if you are super creative, funny, you know, just this thing of like following the leader and I've been talking about this for years, but in a different way. I guess maybe my videos were a little more serious today. My guides were like light and whimsical, and they're like fun, fun, fun. So I'm just going to sound like that because it's partly conscious channeling, right? But not to digress, it's just being you. Being you, being really comfortable being you, not really copying out there, influencing for those of you that are younger, right? For the millennials and the Gen Xers and older people, that's honestly who are my client, that has not as affected them, but the younger people, this may have really affected you. The whole thing with the influencing. Listen, you can't be influenced unless you're really allowed to be influenced. This is what's coming from the records, and it's such a wise, wise, wise thing. And as much as we really allowed, because we love and admired people that are influencing us, or even spiritual teachers when we're talking about spirituality, I think ultimately it is less about this halo effect and more about down to earth. So I think we're really coming down to earth, and we're just like taking on what, you know, really works from different sources, and also really sourcing it from ourselves, which is honestly the best thing. I hate to say that I teach people all about the records, because I don't. I just give you the foundational things, and then off you go. and explore that within your own records. Yes, I teach kind of like different classes around different topics, and I've been trained to do that, but I think they're really foundational and helpful. And then off you go and really apply that in your own way. Okay, I hope this video was helpful to you. I'm sending you lots of light, love, joy in a very spiritual, soul-to-soul way, in a very authentic, loving way. If you have liked this content, you enjoyed my personality, my videos, just know there's more to come. Please like, subscribe, share to those that you think could benefit from this. And honestly, I really love community. So if you want to become a subscriber, that is the best way to really connect and for me to develop more content. If you have some ideas, drop it in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to know from the Akashic Records. Now, this is general guidance, right? And if you want to learn more about how to access and read the records, all of the, new things, if there are new things to you, I will leave the links in the description. I will see you in the next video. Bye now.